Hello, it's Ricardo and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Now when it comes to large combat and multi-role ships in Elite Dangerous, there are two vessels that often dominate the conversation. That of the Anaconda and then the Federal Corvette. Two very similar looking vessels, you could say, both looking like a tip of a spear. Anyway, these two behemoths of Elite Dangerous ship engineering are amongst the most powerful and expensive ships available to buy to commanders. In fact, the Anaconda was the aspiration of many commanders when the game first released. It was the quintessential, the peak ship you could get. Now, each of these huge ships bring disadvantages and drawbacks to the table. Now, whether you're looking for firepower, versatility, or perhaps even accessibility to actually go and buy that ship, we're going to hopefully break down the differences and help you decide that if you're in the market for a big ship and you're looking to choose between a Federal Corvette and an Anaconda, that you'll bear what we say here in mind. The Anaconda in Elite Dangerous stands out as a powerful multi-role vessel. While it boasts 8 weapon hardpoints, including some Class 4 weaponry that only a few ships actually do have access to, its combat effectiveness, you could say, is somewhat nuanced. Pilots often favour turreted and gimbaled weapons due to the Anaconda's less than agile handling and manoeuvrability. While it can pack a serious punch, dedicated combat pilots might find the Federal Corvette a little bit more specialised in the combat role, shall we say. However, the Anaconda possesses unique combat advantages as well. When configured for survivability, the Anaconda is quite durable. It's very durable. Its 8 utility mounts provide ample space for defensive modules. A robust ability to have a Class 8 power plant allows for simultaneous operation of shield cell banks, multiple shield boosters, shield generators, all of the toys, all of the things, ensuring power for weapons and other systems without you having to go through and modulating your weapons to a different priority, shall we say. Even with the shields down, the Anaconda's substantial base armour and plentiful internal compartments, which can allow for module reinforcement and extensive hull reinforcement, plus if you've got that Guardian shield booster, that's certainly going to help your shield staying up in the first place, makes it a ship that can hang in the fight with the best of them. Now, if you go engineering, you can really push that hull strength to very impressive levels. Furthermore, its mass lock factor makes escaping from pursuers relatively easy, although its speed, there's a lot to be desired, whereas the Imperial Cutter will trounce it every time. It is worth noting that the Anaconda is the slowest of the huge ships that are currently in game for Elite Dangerous. If we look at exploration, the Anaconda does indeed shine as an exploration vessel. Perhaps, with the only real competition with it with the Mandalay that was recently released. Its impressive jump range, especially when engineered, allows for rapid travel across vast distances. Now, while other ships may offer slightly better engineered range, the Anaconda's vast internal capacity and potential jump range does make it a contender, and one of the top 3 contenders in the game so far. It's got a huge fuel tank and a Class 7 fuel scoop ability to further advance its enhanced exploration capabilities. However, its size can make landing on some planets for that on-foot exploration a little bit challenging, and its slow supercruise turning can become cumbersome at times, even when you fit it out with the new SCO FSD, which can boost jump range to impressive levels, especially with the new engineered SCO FSDs now in game. If fitting an FSD with SCO ability on this ship, and by bearing in mind that you are going to have some landing difficulties, you do have to plan around the Anaconda's fuel tank and perhaps put additional fuel tanks on there to go with that fuel scoop. If you're looking, however, for a ship for trading and mining roles, the Anaconda's decent cargo capacity and jump range do make it viable for trading, though it's outclassed by other ships in terms of pure cargo space. For example, again, the Cutter. It excels as a mining platform capable of equipping numerous mining lasers, limpets and cargo holds, and has the option of a fighter hangar as well to keep those pesky pirates from stealing your loot or your unrefined and refined materials. While its maneuverability can be a challenge in some asteroid fields, in fact let's face it, all asteroid fields, it does have the potential of being a big old lump of metal in a big pile of rocks where you can get some raw materials. Now we think about combat strategies. In combat, the Anaconda does offer a different approach compared to the Federal Corvette. While slower and less manoeuvrable than the Corvette, its superior armour and shields, you could say when engineered, will allow it to withstand significant punishment. Weapon placement, however, is tricky for fixed weapons. However, I had significant success in using this as my Orthoconda or anti-Thargoid Conda during the Thargoid War. For shields, I would go with biweaves, and they're generally preferred in player versus environment due to their recharge capabilities. Prismatics are generally, I would say, better for PvP, but you've got the problem with the recharge on them as well. If we look at the hardpoint configuration and the bridge view, the Anaconda's hardpoints are arranged in a specific configuration with varying sizes of placement. The bridge, however, offers a wide field of view, but vertical visibility and views below the ship are limited, providing not only a disadvantage in combat, but also that if you're going to take it on a bit of a joyride and take it on exploration. You can blame the original novella The Dark Wheel for painting the Anaconda as something to be used as the bad guy. It was the enemy. It was the baddie. It was the ship that took down the original heroes of that novella. If you had an Anaconda when Elite Dangerous first came out, how the hell did you get that? Because that was something really to aspire to. And that would have taken many hours to get. These days, with credits being plentiful, and the fact that the Anaconda is not hidden behind a rank wall like the Federal Corvette is, then you can probably get to an Anaconda with a decent community goal relatively quickly. However, the Anaconda, as versatile as it is, it only excels, I would say, in a few of the multi-roles available to it. Combat and exploration. Even though it's an okay miner and it's an okay trader to its immense size, it'll become the largest decent explorer you can fly currently in game, and a fairly decent, if not totally decent, combat ship. It's very easy to see why the Federal Corvette is often compared to the Anaconda, and people ponder on which one to choose. The Federal Corvette is locked behind a rank wall where you have to advance through Federal rank to be able to purchase one. Never mind getting the money in the first place. However, credits in Elite Dangerous are so widespread these days you can make money doing virtually anything. The Federal Corvette, the Anaconda and the Imperial Cutter were the original big three of Elite Dangerous. However, that then changed very shortly into the Big Four when the Alliance brought the Type 10 in as a weapons platform and their contribution to efforts in thwarting the Thargoids. The Federal Corvette was built by Core Dynamics. It was developed as a dedicated warship to serve the Federal Navy, and you see one of these turn up, you're in for a bit of a scrap. Designed to dominate both large-scale engagements and single-target combat, it certainly does have that reputation as a high-end combat vessel, which makes it perhaps now the new ultimate goal for many combat-focused pilots, taking that mantle away from the Anaconda. Like I say, it is locked behind a strict Federal allegiance requirement, however. I believe that in combat, the Federal Corvette does indeed reign supreme. Outfitted, a Corvette can typically defeat an Anaconda, and it was an Anaconda killer when it first came into the game. The Imperial Cutter or Type 10 Defender can also succumb to its superior weapon placement in one-off engagements, thanks to the exceptional damage output when the right weapons are put in the right places on that ship. The Federal Corvette is also surprisingly manoeuvrable for its size. Its power distributor can supply its weapon systems adequately, and while its armour rating does indeed surpass that of the Imperial Cutter, its shield capacity is lower due to a Class 7 shield generator limitation. Its base armour is less than the Anaconda's, however, and its armour hardness is less than the Type 10's. Its combined shield strength and hull hardness make it more survivable, however. Does that make sense? It should do. However, the placement of critical internal modules like the power plant and power distributor makes the Corvette vulnerable to module damage from smaller, more agile ships. For example, the Python Mark II, or if you want to go hardcore, you go in there and attack it with a Vulture. With a cargo capacity, and I mean this is tricked out to carry cargo only, I didn't know this, you can get it to 618 tons. It could be a capable freighter, but why would you want to? I use a Corvette for that. It holds the third largest cargo volume amongst the available ships, trailing only the Imperial Cutter and the Type 9. This makes a viable option for well-armed traders who prefer the Federation's, shall we say, utilitarian view on interior design and exterior design over the Imperial Cutter's sleek lines and more Apple iPod looks. The Corvette's limited jump range is significant, even though you put a frameshift drive booster in there, which can help alleviate that issue, and one of the new SEO frameshift drives. It's still limited. It's not bad, but it's still limited. Ultimately, the Corvette represents a pinnacle, like I said, of combat prowess in Elite Dangerous. While the Anaconda, the Type 10 Imperial Cutter can pose a challenge, the Corvette's ability to bring all its weapons to bear on a single target, I think, is unmatched. However, its key weaknesses are its jump range, its shield capacity. However, it does have that shoot first, worry about defense later idea about it. And unlike specialized combat ships like the Vulture or Fer-de-Lance, the Corvette is a viable option should you get to the rank and you want to go in for top tier choice of piracy and bounty hunting, mix it up in the combat zones, or do a bit of power play. Now, the main things of the Corvette is the fact that it's got 2 Class 4 weapon hardpoints. A single large hardpoint sits beneath the nose, 2 medium hardpoints flank the ship, and 2 small hardpoints are situated on the nose as well. 8 utility mounts and a fighter hangar complete this loadout. So what do you think? For a large ship and in player v player, the Corvette is widely regarded as one of the best PvP ships in Elite Dangerous due to its agility of a large ship, its tanking ability and immense firepower. Its dual huge hardpoints allow for devastating strikes, and superior shield capacity make it resilient in prolonged engagements once you engineer it up. The Anaconda, while still viable in this respect in PvP, does struggle against agile targets and is perhaps best suited for long-range engagement or player versus environment. So which ship is indeed best for you? Can you choose between the two? For exploration and perhaps versatility, I think the Anaconda is perhaps your best choice, thanks to its ability to have a better jump range and its flexibility. For pure combat, however, I think the Federal Corvette has its beaten, and it's the undisputed champion as far as I'm concerned so far, boasting unmatched firepower and defensive capabilities. For accessibility, the Anaconda is easier to obtain because of the Federal rank wall that prevents you getting the Anaconda, and it can be used for a multiple of roles, where the Corvette, I believe, it's a combat one-trick pony, and it's very good at what it does. Either way, whatever ship you choose, you won't be jumping very far. If you're still with us right at the end of this 14-minute video comparing the Anaconda and the Federal Corvette, what are your thoughts? What do you think about it? I'm quite interested to know. Are you an Anaconda man, or are you a Federal Corvette man? Or do you prefer another big ship? Will we get more big ships? Will we get the Anaconda Mark II? Will we get the Federal Corvette Mark II? Who knows? Who knows what Frontier has got up its sleeve in the future? I, for one, think an Anaconda Mark II is long overdue. You let me know in the comments. I've been Ricardo. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.